Welcome back to the Servant CEO. Today, we're moving into the heavy lifting phase as we talk about the customer first business. Still in chapter one. This is the second week for chapter one. Most people treat their dreams like a side hustle, a part time interest they fit in when they're tired. But here's the cold truth: part time efforts yield part time results. If you want to move the odds in your favor, you need a frantic, full time commitment. We're talking about that non negotiable early garage days grind where good enough doesn't exist. Are you ready to stop dabbling and start building? Let's get into it. All right, folks, we're back. Week two on chapter one, customer first business. Got to put the plug in there. ServantCEO.com, customer first business. It's right there on the homepage. Grab you a copy. It's available paperback, audiobook, and also ebook on Kindle. So all those are through Amazon. Last week, we talked about the stats and how they don't define you. And this week, we're going to talk about part-time effort versus full-time effort. I want to start with a story. This is a good one. When I first started Jetboat Pilot, we had three partners, all of us with equal share. So 33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third. And each of us put in an equal amount of money. It was $5,000 a piece. We all put that in. That's about all the money I had. I was flat broke and I had no job. So I was literally at that stage frantic. I needed to make this work. My other two business partners had other things going on. One of them worked a job as a contractor on a military base, had a family, had a wife, two kids, very busy guy. The other partner had a full-time job. He had a business that he owned, obviously family and kids and all that stuff. And again, part-time for Jetboat Pilot. He did a wonderful job. He did a lot more in those early days because of his background in engineering, but technically he still had kind of a part-time role in the company. Myself, starting Jetboat Pilot, I had quit my job working at the boat dealership, and I was absolutely flat broke. I'm telling you, I was completely without. I had a little bit of money saved up to pay bills, but I mean, it was dwindling every month. We started the company in June of 2010, and then come about November or so, I was down to my last couple $1,000. The company was kind of just getting off the ground. The thrust vector was just getting started, and we had no sales. Up until that point, obviously, Jetboat Pilot didn't exist, so there were no products, there was no services, there was no website. All that stuff had to be imagined and created. So from the time the company was formed in June up until about maybe March of 2011, so June 2010 to March 2011, there was no income. So I was living on my sales. Oh, excuse me. I was living on my savings. This is the part I'm talking about in this frantic, heavy lift, the grind, the early days. This stuff is really, really, really difficult and critical for you to have the right mentality moving forward. If you're going to start a business, are you going to do it as kind of a side hustle while you're working that stable job? Or are you going to go in all in, take the risk, take the plunge, and go for it? I'm going to put some brackets on that real quick because I think it's important. Like me, in that first scenario there, I was a single guy, no wife, no kids. So it made tons of sense to jump in with both feet and go for it. And with that effort came something pretty tremendous. I was really pushing hard and I was doing everything I knew to get the business going. And thankfully, it did get going. Over time, I was able to hire some people and help me, but in the beginning, it was just me. And that was necessary to get it going. I think had I had a full-time job and I was coming home in the evenings from that job and then doing the Jetboat Pilot thing in the evening, I probably could have been successful, but I don't know how long it would have taken me. Or there's a possibility I would have said, you know what, it's not worth the trouble. I'm going to just take this money I'm getting from this nice stable job over here and not really worry about it. That quitting your job and diving all in, and it's either sink or swim, creates it's not just a passion. There's this, I'm going to starve if I don't do this right. That mentality is present because of that decision to jump in with no backstop. There was no real backstop for me. I didn't have any other plan Bs other than just quit doing this and go back to the car business or go back to the boat business. Alternatively, my business partners had part-time jobs, or excuse me, they had full-time jobs, but obviously JetBoat Pilot was a part-time thing. So their time was very split. I found that they were not spending nearly as much time in their off time or in their spare time thinking about JetBoat Pilot because they were obviously distracted by other things, and rightly so. They had obligations. It wouldn't have been fair for me to ask the same of them. But going into the partnership agreement, I also negotiated away 33% to each of them, plus 33% for myself. And I should have, looking back on it, because I was doing such a disproportionately high number of things or spending so much more time in the business, it may have made sense to negotiate a little more stock on my side of the table. But I want to make sure I kind of point that out. If you want your business to really get going, that passionate, frantic, I've got to make this work or this is not going to go well kind of attitude is absolutely important. And if you do have a family, if you have a wife and kids, if you've got obligations like that, you really need to weigh that out, and you really need to talk about that with your spouse. Make sure that you're both on board with this and understanding what you're undertaking, because it's going to be a lot. To get it going, it's going to be a lot. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of financial obligation. When it's all said and done, if you'll apply yourself and really push hard in that first, couple of years there, it does get better and it does get easier. It is much easier to manage. But that was my story. I'd love to hear your story. Maybe comment below. Maybe tell us a little bit about what you're experiencing. I'd love to hear it. Maybe chat with you about that. As I close out this segment, I want to say this. If you don't have the ability to take risk, and if you don't have the ability to really focus on this early stage grind, on this heavy lifting piece, if you don't have the commitment to really jump in and go it all the way, really believe in it and push with all your might, there's a good chance this isn't going to work out well. If you do have that kind of attitude or that kind of determination where you're going to make this work, come hell or high water, you're going to make this work, there's a good chance you are. And that's what worked for me. I worked my tail off. It was not easy. In the early days, it was tough. But thankfully, though, with some favor and having that background with the customers that we've kind of met and knew on the forums and places, and obviously Tom coming up with the design for the thrust vector, we got going in short order and paychecks started flowing in there. And so my story began to change. We'll get into more detail on that in future parts of this book. Anyway, well, that's week 2, Customer First Business. I hope that you're getting something out of this series. We're going to break down this book, a course of 11 chapters. It's going to be 11 months, 4 sections per chapter. We're going to knock it out a video a week. So every week on Friday, we're going to try to post a new video up, so stay tuned. If you want the book, check it out, servantceo.com. Share it with your friends. If they want to get in business for themselves, it's probably a great resource for them. As always, if you like this content, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share it all around. We really appreciate that. It helps us a ton. And as always, if you like this video, check this one out.